Hello everybody, it's Cole, the Feezer, and I'm back with another video. And for this video, what can I say except it's con season. Specifically, Gen Con is on the horizon. As of the time of recording this, it's about a week and a half away. And so I figure what better way than to do my most anticipated. So that's what we're going to do today, is talk about my most anticipated for Gen Con. And so this hopefully won't be too long of a video. I don't have a long list. I've kind of narrowed it down to about 5 things, I would say, plus a couple honorable mentions. Those mostly being things that I won't be able to actually get at Gen Con, but I'm still anticipating in some regard, be it demos, events, etc. I would say this list is a little shorter for me this time around because, one, there isn't as much that I'm anticipating or rather looking to pick up, but also there are some things that it's like I don't need to get it at the con. I can wait, and some of that will be evident as we get later into the video. But yeah, some things I'm happy to wait until they either hit retail or come to my friendly local game store in the weeks that follow, etc. So yeah. That being said, I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump ahead here and we're going to get right into my honorable mentions. So kicking off the honorable mentions, I want to start with some demos I'm itching to maybe try out. I haven't formally taken advantage of my badge and used them to sign up for maybe demos, be it free ones or paid ones, but 2 games that I'm very much looking forward to are Earth Express / Behind the Lens from Inside Up Games, and then Excursions by Keens and Key Games. I will let you know right now that Earth is probably easily my number 1 game that I don't own. I love it very much. I have a friend group that my one friend has everything for it. I even helped ensure that he has everything for it. And it's a game that we play regularly. We always play at least twice a month because the one module, the calendar module you would have got with the Kickstarter, the base game, it's just like, here's a fun little set of cards that are themed after each month. And so it's like each month you can reveal that month's card, and it's double-sided, so if you play it twice you can have a different effect specific for that month, etc., etc. And so yeah, to see everything, we try to play it at least twice a month. Sometimes we play it more because it's just that good of a game. So naturally, when I heard about Earth Express, I was like, wait, you're going to give me the core experience of Earth, but reduced down to like a pocket size, not actually pocket, I don't think this game would fit in your pocket, but a smaller size that plays in a shorter time and can even go all the way up to 8 players? Well, I mean, sign me up, what's not to love? And I have played it a few times solo over TTS, and I do genuinely think that it takes a lot of what makes Earth great and really distills it down to a shorter, quicker, equally enjoyable experience, if you will. I would say, though, if I owned literally all things Earth, I might not be as enticed by this necessarily, because I think, always given the choice, yeah, I'm going to prefer regular Earth and all that it has to offer over Earth Express. But given that I don't own anything Earth related, I'm more interested in Earth Express because I'm not always with my friend group that has all things Earth. So sometimes I'm playing games with other people, and this would be a very nice to have thing that can easily, satiate that need when I can't access my friend's regular copy of Earth, if you will. So to be clear, like I said, this isn't coming out at Gen Con, but they'll definitely be doing demos there. And while I have played it over TTS, it's always nice to just be able to interact with the game physically, to see the components, which I expect a lot of them are going to be just the same as it was in Earth Express, regular Earth. I can't imagine that they're going to suddenly do something different for the sprout cubes or the trunks and canopies. Like, I imagine a lot of that's just going to be the same. So, but still, it'll be neat to just see like how does it flow physically, because it's one thing to play play a game over TTS versus playing it in person, sometimes there can be little nuances that get lost in that analog to digital translation, if you will, or whatever. So, yeah, there's that to look forward to. The other one that I mentioned, I'm jumping in here. I'm also interested in Behind the Lens, but I would say I'm more interested in Earth Express, but I'd be keen to learn a little bit more and maybe even try out Behind the Lens, because I do enjoy photography to some regard, and this feels very right up my alley as a result of that. But the other one that I'm most interested in checking out is Excursions. I know very little about it, other than that it's set in the same world as Galactic Cruise, and Galactic Cruise was easily, if I recall correctly, it was my #1 game of last year. Yes, and I very much enjoy the game and all that it has to offer. I'm very much looking forward to the Achievements expansion coming later this year. But finding out that this new game, Excursions, is sharing the same theme as Galactic Cruise and is by Ben Rozet, the same guy that's done Formaggio, The Game Makers, and I could go on, but those are the big ones that jump out at me immediately. So knowing that he's designed this, it's like, I'm very much interested. I've loved everything of his that I've played so far, so I have no doubt. So you take his game design with Ian O'Toole's art, I mean, this is sure to be a home run. I mean, how could it not be? So I am very much looking forward to that. And I'd be keen to get a demo of it if I could, or if nothing else, just going by Keats and Keys' booth and just getting the elevator pitch, if you will, and just getting to see some of the proposed physical components and things like that. It's nice to see the direction that they're going with things and all of that. So I'm very much excited for that. Some other things that I'm excited for in general are some of the events. Now, I will be clear up front that when I go to Gen Con, I'm there to do a lot of demo work for Good Games Publishing. So if you go by their booth, you're going to likely see me there demoing our latest and greatest games that they have available. So I really won't have as much time for events and things like that versus someone who's just going there casually. But I do try to squeeze in at least an event or two if I can help it, and this year is no exception to that. One event that I am checking out is an event by Allplay called Jibber Jabber Live, where basically you pay $20 and for about 2 hours you get to watch some content creators go up on stage and make fools of themselves as they try to play Jibber Jabber Live. And then afterwards they'll come down off the stage and disperse amongst the crowd and sit at the various tables and play the game with you. And so I find all of that very exciting. With that said, for those who don't know, Jibber Jabber looks to be this rather interesting word game that is like, it feels not unlike something like Just One, if you will, that each round or each turn somebody's going to be the it person. And and so there's going to be, I don't know if they'll have a card or what the deal is, but they're going to have to guess a word. So for example, that word might be chocolate. Then you, as the rest of the group, have to give them 3 clues to try and figure out what that secret word is. But here's the fun part. So let's say the clue, let's say the word is chocolate, and we're trying to get our friend here to guess it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think of a word, a clue, and I'm going to start spelling that clue. And that's the thing. I'll give a first letter, like I'll say M. Then the person beside me has to go, and they have to give a letter. So they might say I. Now in my mind, I'm thinking a very specific word that starts with that. I can't say what that word is to everyone else. I just have to hope we're on the same wavelength. So I say M, the next person says I, then the third person comes around, and what do? They say N. Was that what I was thinking? No, I was thinking L. Clearly I'm thinking milk. That makes the most sense. Milk, chocolate, hello. But no, they were thinking mint, like mint chocolate chip. And that's the fun of it all. It's like, can you get on the same wavelength? And that's a very rudimentary example. You can imagine how chaos can ensue that, like, you're thinking a very particular word in your mind, and very quickly it can devolve, and it's like, oh no, they're spelling a completely different word. This isn't going to work. What are we doing? And so I can only imagine it's going to be a great time. And of course, by going to the event, you get a copy of the game, so what's not to love about that? Other than the fact that I'm also going to get to see some content creators personally and all that. So yeah, it'll be great. Great time. Look forward to it. I really don't have any other events at the moment that I've picked out, but I do want to say that I am a little sad that this year Rolling Dice and Taking Names aren't doing their strike tournament, because if they were, that is something I look forward to every year. I mean, you get to go to the old spaghetti factory, you get to have a great dinner, and you get to have some fun playing strike in a tournament. I mean, what's not to love? And I mean, last year I went to it and I made it to the finals. It was a fantastic time, but unfortunately, due to scheduling conflicts, they're not both going to be able to be there, so they're not running it this year, which is unfortunate. Just means I'll anticipate it all the more when we come back next year and do it. But I think that's gonna generally do it for the honorable mentions. Of course, I look forward to seeing all the people that I only ever get to see at these conventions, just because a lot of people that I know live in completely different parts of the country, if not the world for that matter, and so it's not easy for us to just casually meet up willy-nilly, so getting to see them at the con is always an exciting time. So I think that's pretty much going to be it, and with that out of the way, I think we're ready to jump into my top 5 most anticipated games at Gen Con proper. Coming in at number 5 is a bit of an interesting one. Number 5 for me is a game that's a pocket version of a very popular game, of which I own everything you can own for that game, and then some. Number 5 isn't a game that is strictly debuting at Gen Con. It will be the first con it'll be available at, but if you follow this publisher intimately, you'll know that as of this past week, you could already start ordering this game, and with any luck, it'll arrive before you ever get to Gen Con. But I don't think that matters too terribly much. You can effectively say it's debuting at Gen Con. I mean, it's whatever. But for me, my number 5 has to be Wingspan Pocket. I'll be honest up front. I don't think I'm going to pick up a copy at Gen Con, and that's fine. I'm still very much anticipating it. I'm excited to go there and see it physically and check it all out and what have you. But I know that my friendly local game store here is going to be getting plenty of copies of it, and I'll just wait till it gets here, and I'll just pick up a copy here so that I can, support my friendly local game store, which is a thing I recommend everyone do if they can. But I get it. When you're at Gen Con, you're wandering the expo hall, there's all these shiny things jumping out at you. It's like, ooh, I want that. Ooh, I want that. It's very easy to just be there in that moment and succumb to that impulse. I get it. And to me, Wingspan Pocket feels like the perfect impulse purchase. That it's like, it's taking a great game that is well established, and it's condensing it down into a pocket size. Don't know if it'll literally fit in a pocket. Maybe if you got really big ones, sure, but it distills what makes Wingspan great into a smaller, more compact, quicker to play game. And while I love Wingspan, and I wish I could get Wingspan to the table more, I mean, it's Wingspan, so what's not to love? I mean, at this point, I have the big box, I have everything, and so I don't bust out that big box often. But when I do, it's always an enjoyable time. But having something a little smaller that I can grab and take with me anywhere, because not every game night am I going to want to drag my nesting box with me. But like a small box of Wingspan Pocket, yeah, what's not to love? I haven't looked as deeply into this as I would like, but from my understanding is that you're just playing one line of birds, or effectively one habitat, I suppose. I don't think they call it a habitat, but that's the closest comparison I can give you. But yeah, you're playing one line of birds that'll trigger every time you play a bird. So things are going to be happening, and what's nice is the cards are double-sided, so they got a resource on one side and a bird on the other. So there's some multi-use function there. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. I'll be curious how this goes over for Stonemaier games, because they seem to do a good job of well supporting their games. Now, given that, I mean, my thinking is that this is a pocket version, so this should ideally just be like a one-off type deal. But who knows? Maybe it'll do so well and it'll get a ton of attention. Maybe they'll eventually do expansions or a quote-unquote normal size box, which you can think of as a big box, but it's not actually big. It's not like a nesting box big, but who knows what they might do. there might be enough clamor for it that they'll eventually make more, but we'll see how it goes. I'm curious on that front, but for me, that's got to be my number 5, Wingspan Pocket. Up next is my number 4, and before I get too deep into my number 4, I want to put a little disclaimer before it. As I've mentioned in the past, in previous videos and things like that, I do a lot of playtesting for Good Games Publishing. And typically, when we do extensive playtesting for Good Games Publishing, we are usually compensated with a copy of the game for our playtesting efforts. And some of the stuff they have coming out of Gen Con is no exception to this. So, one, I want to make it clear that my number 4 is a game by Good Games Publishing. I'll spoil what it is in a moment. I did help playtest it. Our group didn't do extensive, deep playtesting with it necessarily, just smoothing out some rough edges and things like that, because there is the new 1.5 edition coming out to retail and all of that, and it will be available at Gen Con. But regardless of that, I'm going to be getting a copy at Gen Con. I may not necessarily have to pay for it, but even if I had to, I absolutely would. Because I think this game is going to be really big for us. So my number 4 is Jisogi by Good Games Publishing. This is a game about the struggles of running your own anime art studio in Japan, because it's the world of anime in Japan isn't all rainbows and sunshine. There's definitely a dark side to it, if you will, to some degree, that a lot of animators are overworked and pushed to do more than they probably should be doing and things like that. And so this game certainly explores some of those ideas and all of that. All while you're trying to crank out the best animes that you can. It is definitely worker placement to some degree, and so you've got these different these different colors of workers and things that you can take your little token and you can put it out, exhausting one of your cards representing your workers, and those can be upgraded so that they're like a Genki staff or whatever, so that they're a little more powerful. They can do a little bit more when you go to certain locations that they care about, things like that. So yeah, you're trying to gather different elements of what makes a good anime and line them up in the right way to best satisfy one of the current projects that are out there. Maybe the execs are looking for a space opera, or they're looking for a horror fantasy, or a love interest, or a Dragon Ball style anime, whatever the case may be. So there'll be these cards that depict these things, and on them they'll list certain colors of elements that you need. You need a certain kind of plot, or a certain kind of twist, or certain kind of hook, or whatever, And so you're just trying to take actions to get the right pieces to best satisfy this, and then you make it happen. And yeah, I think the artwork in this is fantastic, very much anime inspired. It's definitely going to please a lot of anime fans, but I think the gameplay has enough meat to it that it's definitely going to satisfy those gamers that prefer a little bit more meat on the bone, as it were. And so yeah, this is one that the first time I play tested it, I had a bit of a rough experience, that I was in a position where I constantly felt like I was just behind everyone else. That it's they were all doing the thing that I wanted to do, and because I was doing it last, I had to pay a higher price to do it, if you will. And yeah, I can safely say that the rough experience I had the first time around isn't really reflective of the overall gameplay. It's that experience has certainly been smoothed out, and not really one that's necessarily going to occur now. So yeah, it's turned into a really solid game, and I think anyone that loves a little more going on in their games is going to be able to pick this up and just absolutely enjoy it, unless for some reason you're not a big fan of anime, which there are people that aren't, and that's fine. I'm not here to judge, but yeah, that's one that I think is going to be big for us, just like 12 Rivers was last year. So I would definitely say, if this one's on your radar, don't hesitate to get by our booth early and snag your copy, because they may not last long. So, for me, my number 4 has to be Jisogi by Good Games Publishing. Coming in at number 3, then, is going to be a game that isn't strictly new, but this particular edition, this deluxe edition of this game, if you will, is new and premiering at Gen Con. It's a game that, over the last 6 months, I would say, I've managed to play a lot of. There's a game group that I go to most Wednesday nights, and there's always somebody there playing this because the people there just love this game. They play it a lot. I know that back in April, I went to, on a Saturday into a Sunday, I went to a 24-hour board gaming marathon that this group was having. They were trying to raise money for Extra Life and all that fun stuff. But I swear at any given time, there was probably like a dozen people playing this game. You could have walked in at any point during the 24 hours and there was at least a table, if not two, playing this game. They just absolutely love it. And they weren't just playing the game like normal or like casually. They weren't just like whatever. They were like taking it to whole other levels that it is insane. And to expand upon that, I want to then say that my number 3 is the deluxe edition of The Gang by Kosmos. And so going back to that marathon, like I said, like they weren't just playing the basic, oh, you have best 3 out of 5 missions or whatever. It's like you either successfully crack it the 3 vaults or you trip the alarm 3 times and that's game over kind of like they weren't just doing that. They were coming up with all kinds of wacky variants and things like that. And not just like the fun, not just the official variants that are included in the one mini expansion where it's like, oh, you could do like Omaha instead of Texas Hold'em, or you could do like a banana split. So now instead of there being like a central pile of community cards, it's like now you're dealing community cards on either side of each player. So it's like me and the person to my left have one pile that we share, and then me and the person to the right have another pile that we share. And so then just trying to form the best hand and figuring out between these cards and those cards and the cards in my hand, what's my best hand and how does that rank against everyone else? They were taking it all kinds of crazy. And like I know one example was that they were like, oh, what if we took the bottom 2 the bottom 2 worst hands, like the high card and the pair, and suddenly made them the best hands? How does that change everything now? So it's like if you've got a 2 pair, you're bottom tier, but if you've got a high card, suddenly you should be taking the highest available chip to indicate that you've got a strong hand. And it's like just how much they like the variants and things they were coming up with. It was like it felt like they were playtesting an expansion in real time. It was just insane. I wish somebody from the publisher could have been there to just see all the ideas they were coming up with. But I digress. Again, for as much as a bunch of people at this friend group own it, I've never owned it myself. And then earlier this year I found out, oh, they're going to be doing a deluxe edition. And it's like, well, I get to play it enough at this gaming group, so I'm not going to go out of my way to get a copy now. I'll just wait for the deluxe edition that includes upgraded components and bundles all the expansions together, and then just grab that. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. It's going to come with a nice neoprene mat that you can lay out all the cards you need to, the community cards, the vault and alarm cards and things like that. It's going to come with like a casino grade plastic cards, like gold bars, I suppose, instead of the cards, or little alarm tokens instead of the cards, or just little touches like that in a nice black box that is going to be nice. So it'd be great to finally have my own copy that I can then bring around to other friend groups. And it's like, oh, if we're just looking to unwind at the end of a night or something and play something a little lighter, this will fill that niche, and I'm all for it. It's even one that I think I could introduce to my family, some of whom like poker and could probably get into this. I will just have to be careful to break them of the habit that I see all the time, that when someone who plays poker, like Texas Hold'em a lot, you sit them down to play the gang, and then they make the classic mistake of playing to potential, and that's just not something you do in the gang. You don't be like, oh, well, I've got 2 hearts in my hand and there's 2 on the table. I need to be taking the highest chip because I'm 1 card away from a flush. It's like, no, you don't do that. there is absolutely no guarantee that flush comes out, and it doesn't matter if that heart comes out. You're ranking based on what you have now, and what you have now, is that the best hand? Probably not. And so that's the gang. I love it. And that's got to be my number 3, the deluxe edition of the gang by Kosmos. Moving right along, we've got my number 2 on the list. My number 2 comes from a publisher that is quickly becoming one of my top 10 favorites. They just keep putting out good games. I'm not going to say they're all like fantastic 10 out of 10 games, but like I remember going by their booth at PAX Unplugged late last year and just being impressed by all the interesting games that they had there, and they even had some like nice bundles, and it's like, hey, here's these new games, but you can get it in a bundle that includes like an expansion or some like upgraded components and things like that. And it's like, oh man, I wish I had more money, because I would probably buy all the things. I mean, in retrospect, I probably would have been a fool to do that, because I don't know that if I bought all the things, I'd be able to get all the things to the table, but that's a separate issue that has nothing to do with this. But anyways, earlier this year they crowdfunded a game, and at the time it looked interesting, but I think there were just other things that looked even more interesting to me at that time, so I was like, I'm going to pass on this, and maybe hope that I can pick it up later, like as a bundle of the con or something. And so that's my hope. My number 2 has to be Gold Country by Bitewing Games and designed by Reiner Knizia. What I like about Gold Country, from what I've seen, is that it's a bit. I don't want to call it worker placement per se, but it's like light stock manipulation and things like that. So like each turn, like you have this board, and there's like these 4 mining companies, and each turn you're going to pull out 3 tents that match one of those mining companies. You're going to take those tents and you're going to lay them out and slowly expand their reach on the board, if you will. But as you do that, you're going to pick up tokens and things that can help increase or decrease the value of the matching company's stocks. And you can then, either before or after putting out the tents, you can buy or sell stock in a particular company. So maybe if you see, oh, you could potentially place tokens in a way to really jack up the price of the stock, maybe you buy low and then wait for it to get high, and then next turn you sell out and make a decent chunk of money. Or maybe you see that, oh no, anything you do, like there's a real risk that you might have to lower the value of a given company, so maybe you sell out of that while you can, before you or somebody else for that matter lowers its value. Excuse me. So I very much am looking forward to that. But I'm especially looking forward to it if I can get like their fancy deluxe edition with all the upgrades and things like that. So I know they had things like the coins, and I think they had like even like gold pans that you could keep your money in, and they had like I think a small expansion and then like a promo or something. So like if I could get all of those in a nice little bundle for the right price, mind you, I might be seriously tempted at picking up a copy. So I'm definitely going to be on the hunt for that. That's got to be my number 2. That is Gold Country by Bitewing Games, designed by Reiner Knizia. We're here. We're at my number 1 most anticipated. And my number 1 most anticipated is something that I've been anticipating for a while now, probably close to 2 years, ever since I found out it was going to be something that's going to be a thing. So Good Games Publishing has a game coming out this year that is based on an older game from a different Australian company from 2017. And about 2 years ago I found out that that old publisher that is now defunct, Good Games Publishing, was going to be picking up this particular game from them and improving upon it and making it better, and I absolutely believe that that is the thing that they have done. The original game, it was designed for 2 to 4 players. It was a good game, I would say, but only really good at 2 players. As soon as you jumped up to 3 and 4, it wasn't the best experience, especially if certain players were new at the game, because I'm going to pause there, and I'm going to say that my number one most anticipated is Skyward Republic by Good Games Publishing. So then to jump back, the original Skyward that this is based on, that Skyward Republic is based on, I should say, the original Skyward had an I split you choose mechanic. And so you would, each round you'd draw like 4 times the number of players' cards, and then you'd split them up into as many piles as there are players, however you wanted, and then each player, starting with the person to your left, would choose a pile, and then you'd get whatever's left. And so it's kind of like this interesting idea of like, how can I best manipulate these piles to benefit me, but not make it obvious that it benefits me, and somehow sticks them with bad stuff, but doesn't make it obvious that they're getting stuck with bad stuff and things like that. But a lot of the trouble is that, yeah, this game works well at 2 players. But when you get to 3 and 4 players, especially if some of them are new, it can really slow the game down because you just have so many cards to just try and figure out how do I best distribute these. And it's like, no matter how well you want to explain the game, it's like you can't cover literally everything. You can't, like, make it obvious how good or bad every single card is. And so then, like, players are drawing these cards and they're just staring at them blankly, like, I don't know how to value this, over that, over could really slow the game down and just not be a great experience all around. So with Skyward Republic, we did a ton of playtesting with it, and we've done a lot to really refine it. We've tried to ensure that we still have a core mechanism that feels very fresh and unique to a lot of the other games in a similar style. But Skyward Republic, if you don't know, is a game all about building like these cities in the sky. And so each player has their own like little tableau that they're trying to build out. It's like a 2x4 grid, if you will. And so you're going to be drawing you're going to have all kinds of like building cards and faction cards. And you're going to use those faction cards to pay for those buildings, to launch them into your sky city, if you will. And if you're able to launch enough of these buildings, you can then potentially qualify for what are known as benefactors, which can get you a little extra benefits, be it points or otherwise. And so there's all that going on. And then, of course, the buildings themselves are going to be worth points at the end. And different buildings offer like different combinations. And it's like, oh, if you pair this building with an adjacent building of this faction or this color or whatever, then you can get bonus points. And so just trying to line up all those things in a way that best maximizes your points is just a lot of fun. But the way that the core, like the drafting mechanic works, if you will, is that at the start of each round, you're going to deal out 2 cards per player face up into a number of piles equal to the number of players. So if there's like 3 players, you're going to have 3 piles of 2 cards each. Then every player is going to get 2 cards face down. When it comes to your turn, you have a choice. You take one of the face-up piles, or you reveal one of your 2 face-down cards and add it to one of the available piles. Where that can get really interesting is that early in this phase, there might be a great pile out there, but it only has maybe 2 or 3 cards in there. So it's like, it might be perfect for what you need, and sure, go ahead and take it. But then those other cards that you still have face down, you have to flip them face up and add them to the piles that remain, potentially making them even juicier for somebody else at the table. And the thing is you don't know what those are, so you might inadvertently reveal something that's really good for you that you no longer are going to be able to get. And so it's that really spicy decision of like, oh, do I take one of these piles that I can see, or do I flip over a card and hope it's something good that I care about, or something that it's bad that I don't care about rather? Interesting. And what's really interesting is, let's say you do flip over a card that you care about. Now you have the spicy decision. It's like, well, do I put it in this, like, which pile do I put it in? Like, I don't want to make one pile too good that somebody else is going to take it and then I don't get the card I want. But I don't also want to put it in this really bad pile, because then, yeah, I get the card I want, but none of the other cards help me with what I'm trying to do. But maybe that's okay, you know? Yeah. This is what, like, I remember playing the original Skyward and very much enjoying it. But because of the issues at like 3 and 4 players, it didn't hit the table as much as I would have liked it to. But I still have fond memories of it all the same. But yeah, this one I'm very excited for. I'm going to try and snag my copy as soon as I can. I'm going to make sure I sleeve it up immediately, and I'm going to try and play it with... I have a group of friends that'll be there, and I'm at least going to try and play it with them, but I will happily play it with anyone that I can meet up with and convince to sit down at a table with me, because I think it's fantastic. And I think it's a game that's got enough meat on its bones. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I think the way that the drafting phase, I think we do a great job of how that's handled. It doesn't take too long, and your decisions they're just interesting enough, which is what I very much appreciate. Because, like I said, you can take one of the face-up piles, or you can flip one of your face-down cards and add it to that. And then after you finish that phase, then you take the cards that you have gotten, and then you'll build any of them if you can, or whatever. And yeah, it's great. And the game only takes about like maybe 7 or 8 rounds, I would say, because you're ideally building the card each round, but there may be ways sometimes to build an extra card or 2 in a given round, and so that can kind of speed things up by a round. So yeah, it's very interesting, a lot of fun, and it's got great artwork too. So if you ever remember the original edition of Skyward, a lot of the artwork is carried through into this new edition, as well as some fresh pieces to be on the lookout for. But yeah. And again, to be just to disclose this one last time, I will likely be compensated with a copy for my playtesting efforts with Good Games Publishing on this one, but that doesn't matter. Even if they weren't giving me a copy, I would absolutely pay for this, because that's just how much I am anticipating it. I've been anticipating it ever since they told me personally that they're going to be picking it up, and we started playtesting. But it had been a while before they said anything, before they said anything publicly, so I just kind of had to keep my lips shut. It's like, But yes, it's finally coming to Gen Con, and we'll be hitting retail later on, and yeah, I am just absolutely excited for this one. This has to be Skyward Republic by Good Games Publishing. That's my number 1. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. I want to leave you with a few closing thoughts. As of the time of recording this, I've got about a week left before I'm leaving for Gen Con. I'll be leaving the Sunday before. I'll be hopping on a 20-hour train ride from near where I'm at all the way out to Indianapolis. This will be like the 3rd or 4th year that I'm doing this. I very much am looking forward to it. So that means that Monday morning all the way through the following Monday, I'm going to be in Indianapolis, but especially that Monday and Tuesday, if any of you happen to be around, I would say hit me up on Instagram, or if you know me personally on Discord, hit me up there. If you're going to be in the area, we could meet up at the Good Games Indianapolis store, and we could play a game. You know, I would totally be down for that. I don't know if I'll be bringing much with me. I think when I go to Gen Con, I might bring 1 or 2 like party-ish games that are good for some bigger groups, because I know some folks that'll be there personally. They might be doing like some meetups, and it might be nice to just have something that can support a larger group in case a bunch of people do show up. But I'll absolutely have some of the new stuff that I'm getting there, but I'll also play that if they wanna play that too. But so yeah, that's going to be that. Like I said, I'm looking forward to all the games I talked about in this video, the events as well, getting to meet all kinds of wonderful people. And again, if you happen to be watching this and happen to be there, I'm happy to meet up with you. But the most assured method is, if you're there, swing by the Good Games Publishing booth, and I'm happy to say hi there, or even give you a demo of one of our latest games. So that's going to wrap it up for now. And all I can say in closing is, play more games.